In this episode, we start with the technical and documentation impacts of change, because a change is rarely finished the moment the technical work is completed. You may update a setting, add a rule, restart a service, replace a system, or move an application, but that action can ripple through the environment in ways that are easy to miss. A change may affect allow lists, deny lists, restricted activities, downtime, legacy applications, dependencies, diagrams, procedures, policies, and version records. If those effects are ignored, the organization may think the change is complete while hidden risk remains behind it. The important idea is that security depends on both the working system and the accurate understanding of that system. If the technology changes but the documentation, process, and security records do not change with it, people may make future decisions based on old information. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is part of our companion study series. The first book is a detailed study guide that explains the exam and helps you prepare for it with confidence. The second is a Kindle-only ebook with 1,000 flashcards you can use on your mobile device or Kindle for quick review. You can find both at Cyber.Me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. Allow lists and deny lists are common examples of technical impacts because they directly shape what is permitted and what is blocked. An allow list defines what is specifically approved, such as approved applications, approved addresses, approved senders, approved devices, or approved services. A deny list defines what is specifically blocked, such as known malicious addresses, forbidden applications, risky file types, or unwanted traffic sources. A change can affect either one. If a new business application is added, it may need to be placed on an allow list so it can run or communicate properly. If a risky destination is discovered, it may need to be added to a deny list. The security risk comes from making these changes too broadly. Allowing too much can expose systems. Blocking too much can disrupt legitimate work. You should think carefully about the difference between allowing something and denying something. An allow list is usually more restrictive because only approved items are permitted. A deny list is usually more flexible because everything is allowed unless it is specifically blocked. Each approach has trade-offs. An allow list can provide strong control, but it requires good maintenance because new approved items must be added when the environment changes. A deny list can be easier to operate in a fast-moving environment, but it may miss something harmful that has not been identified yet. During change management, the question is not only whether the list was updated. The question is whether the update matches the real need. A rushed allow list change may grant more access than necessary. A rushed deny list change may block a service that users depend on. Restricted activities are another technical impact to watch. A restricted activity is something the organization limits because it creates risk, affects stability, or requires special approval. That might include administrative changes, installing unapproved software, copying sensitive data, changing firewall rules, disabling security tools, modifying cloud permissions, or restarting critical services. When a change requires one of these activities, it should not be treated as routine just because the person making the change has good intentions. You want to know why the restricted activity is needed, who approved it, how long it will last, and how the environment will be returned to normal afterward. This matters because temporary exceptions often become permanent weaknesses. A control may be paused for troubleshooting and then forgotten. A special permission may be granted for one task and never removed. Restarts are a simple technical impact that can create surprisingly large problems. Restarting a laptop may seem minor. Restarting a production server, database, identity service, or network device can affect many users and systems. Some applications handle restarts gracefully, while others require careful shutdown and startup timing. A restart can interrupt active sessions, stop background jobs, delay transactions, or break connections between systems. It can also create security issues if services fail to come back correctly or if protections do not restart as expected. When a change includes a restart, you should ask what depends on the system, how long the restart should take, what users will experience, and how the team will confirm that everything returned properly. A restart is not just a technical detail. It is an availability event. Downtime is closely related to restarts, but it deserves its own attention. Downtime means a system, service, application, or process is unavailable for some period of time. Planned downtime may be acceptable when people know it is coming and the timing is chosen carefully. Unplanned downtime is more disruptive because it surprises users and may interrupt important work. From a security perspective, downtime affects availability, which is one of the core goals of security. You should also remember that downtime can create secondary risks. People may try workarounds, move data into less secure places, share accounts, delay important tasks, or bypass normal procedures because the usual system is unavailable. Change management should consider not only how long downtime may last, but also what people might do during that downtime if they are not prepared. Legacy applications can make change more difficult because they may not behave like modern systems. A legacy application is an older application that the organization still uses, often because it supports an important business process. It may rely on outdated operating systems, old libraries, weak protocols, special network settings, older databases, or unusual permissions. A normal update in the surrounding environment can break a legacy application even when the application itself was not changed. For example, tightening encryption settings may be good for security, but an old application may not support the stronger setting. Removing an old protocol may reduce risk, but a legacy system may still depend on it. This does not mean legacy systems should be ignored. It means changes around them need careful impact analysis, compensating controls, and accurate documentation. Dependencies are one of the easiest things to underestimate during a change. A dependency is something a system needs in order to function. An application may depend on a database, a certificate, a service account, a network route, a storage location, a domain name system, DNS, record, an identity provider, or another application programming interface. Application Programming Interface, API, connections are especially common in modern environments because applications often exchange information with other services. When a dependency changes, the visible failure may appear somewhere else. A user may blame the application, while the real problem is an expired certificate or a change permission in another system. Good change management asks what the system depends on and what depends on it. That two-way question can prevent a lot of surprises. Security controls themselves can become dependencies. An application may depend on an identity system for sign-in, a logging platform for audit records, an endpoint tool for protection, or a backup system for recovery. If a change breaks one of those controls, the application might still appear to work while security is quietly weakened. That can be more dangerous than an obvious outage because people may not notice the problem right away. If logging stops, an incident may become harder to investigate. If backups stop, recovery may fail later. If monitoring exclusions are added carelessly, suspicious activity may become invisible. After a change, you want to validate not only that users can complete their work, but also that the security controls around that work still operate as expected. Working is not the same as secure. Documentation impacts are just as important as technical impacts because documentation is how people understand the environment later. A network diagram, data flow diagram, system inventory, access matrix, recovery plan, or procedure may all need updates after a change. If those documents stay outdated, future work becomes riskier. Someone may troubleshoot the wrong path, approve access based on old assumptions, miss a dependency, or fail to protect a new data flow. Documentation is not just neatness. It is operational memory. When you are under pressure during an incident or outage, you do not want to discover that the diagram is 2 years out of date or that no one recorded the new connection created during the last change. Accurate documentation helps people make better decisions faster. Policies and procedures may also need updates after a change. A policy states an expectation or rule, while a procedure explains how people carry out related work. If a new security control is added, procedures may need to explain how users request access, how administrators review alerts, or how support teams handle problems. If a data handling process changes, policy language may need to reflect the new requirements. If a new cloud service is adopted, procedures may need to describe ownership, logging, access review, and recovery responsibilities. A change that affects behavior should not live only in a technical ticket. People need guidance that matches the new reality. Otherwise, they may keep following old steps that no longer protect the system or no longer work at all. Version control helps track changes over time so people know what changed, when it changed, and who changed it. You may hear version control in the context of software code, but the idea also matters for configuration files, scripts, policies, procedures, diagrams, and technical documents. Without version control, teams may lose track of which version is current, which version was approved, or what changed between one version and another. That creates confusion during troubleshooting and investigations. If a firewall configuration changed, you may need to compare the current version to the previous version. If a procedure was updated, you may need to know whether people followed the old steps or the new ones. Version control supports accountability, recovery, and clear communication. You should also pay attention to ownership when documentation changes. A technical team may update a system, but someone must be responsible for updating the diagram. A security team may change a monitoring rule, but someone must record why the rule changed and what risk it addresses. A process owner may approve a new workflow, but someone must update the procedure that users actually follow. If ownership is unclear, documentation updates often fall through the cracks. Everyone assumes someone else handled it. Later, during an incident or audit, people discover that the system changed but the records did not. Change management should include documentation tasks as part of the change itself. The change is not fully closed until the affected records are updated or deliberately confirmed as unchanged. There is also a timing issue with documentation. Some updates should be prepared before the change, especially if people need instructions during the maintenance window or immediately afterward. Other updates may be finalized after the change, once the real result is confirmed. You do not want to publish inaccurate instructions too early, but you also do not want people operating blindly while they wait for documentation. A practical approach is to plan documentation updates as part of the change schedule. Draft what you can in advance, validate it during or after implementation, and then publish the confirmed version. This is especially important for diagrams, recovery procedures, and user-facing instructions. Good timing keeps people informed without pretending the change is complete before it has actually been validated. The conclusion is that a change affects more than the one setting, system, or application being modified. Allow lists, deny lists, restricted activities, restarts, downtime, legacy applications, dependencies, diagrams, policies, procedures, and version records can all be affected. If those impacts are ignored, the organization may be left with hidden exposure, broken controls, confused users, outdated documents, or recovery plans that no longer match reality. As you study this topic, keep asking what the change touches technically and what knowledge must be updated because of it. A secure environment depends on accurate systems and accurate records. When the technology changes, the supporting documentation and procedures need to follow. That is how change management protects not only the moment of change, but every decision that comes after it.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit DailyCyber.News.